Hi, Facebook Live. We're about to get the recording started, and we'll get Notre Dame head coach Chad Riley in here. So you know how the drill goes. It's a different show this time, not actually a companion show like it has been the last few times. So give us just a second, and we'll get you into you're going to hear on SoundCloud later in the week. We got to get some shares out of the way, and we'll get this thing kicking. All right, we live in 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? East of the Bend podcast. Here we go. Very special episode today. Today's episode on the Dose Leprechauns podcast network is brought to you in conjunction, as always, with DJ Digital Input, Mr. Kent Price. 740-973-0817 for any DJ needs you may have. He's got his birthday parties. I think I talked about it before. He did a heavy metal Disney theme. So again, if anybody finds anything weirder than that, you throw it at me because I want to hear about something like this. He can do weddings, work meetings, a party in your living room if you need it. Kent's always down to have a good time. And you guys know we're the we are the Notre Dame, the official podcast of the Notre Dame Fan Club of Columbus. Watch parties at Dempsey's at 346 South High Street in Columbus. Mark Hissam's doing some big things this year. The new T-shirts, I do believe, are in. So check those out. We'll have them out on the page. I'll get them shared for you, and you can check those out. Really cool design this year. Better quality shirts. I think they're going to be like $20 or something like that. And we should be having some news here real soon about the watch parties this year. So this is our World Cup preview show. If you're watching on Facebook Live, welcome in. We're going to preview the World Cup, but first we got to call in with Notre Dame head soccer coach Chad Riley. We'll get him in here in just a couple minutes. He's on the phone on hold waiting patiently. We know his time's very valuable, so we'll get him in here with us and get a nice interview in and first-year head coach, so we're really excited to have him in and talk about Notre Dame soccer. We'll talk about the World Cup, talk about some various things like that, and got my co-host Will Havanis in here. What's up, Will?
What's up, guys?
I always try to imitate that when I'm just practicing by myself. I'm always like, what up?
Yeah.
the proverbial, what up?
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's plug in here a little bit, and let's go ahead and get Coach Riley in here. Coach, can you hear us?
I can. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for being on. You're probably our biggest show to date, so we really appreciate that, and hopefully maybe have you on again in the future. So
Certainly. No, thanks. I'm excited to be on it.
Appreciate it, man. So tell Irish fans, especially you know the school better than anybody. I mean, you played, you were a captain, you were assistant coach, now head coach of the team. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you know how it is up there. Everybody's pretty football headstrong up there, but they got some good things going with the other programs too. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. No, I obviously been affiliated with the program for almost 18 years now. So I remember my official visit was in 1999, and then came here and played for 4 years, and then last coached a couple other places, and then came back as an assistant for about 6 years, and then I was gone about 6 years as well, and the head coach at Dartmouth the past 5 years, and obviously thrilled to be back, and I think it's been really neat the last 6 years. I think the department's really grown in a lot of ways, and I think, like you said, we have our kind of front porch sport and sports, and I think American football we're always excited about, and I think they give the vision of the athletic department, but I think at the same time we try to be good at everything, and so that's the fun part about coming back to Notre Dame is just trying to be the best.
Yeah, I mean, really, Notre Dame, or the athletics overall, has really been something over the last year. I mean, it actually, since Jack Swarbrick's taken over, it's really been, we got a fencing national title even. We got, Muffet's done some big things with the women's basketball program. Coach Bray's got the men's program rolling. and then the hockey team has done a great job as well. And you're you're carrying that torch right along with it, with taking over. And you're taking over for quite a legendary coach.
Yeah, no, that's. I was talking to Jack during the interview process, and I said, "What are some of the drawbacks?" And he said, "Well, the only drawback, or one of the drawbacks, is following a legend." So, no, it's one that I think uniquely I can embrace because I know it, and I'm different than him. But he's obviously such a big part of my life, and it's been fun. He's been kind of in with us since January, kind of helping with the transition and just being around. So it was really fun to have my old coach with me, and yeah, I think that's the fun part. He's laid a great foundation, but he'd be the first one to tell you that every year you try to do things better, you try to get better, and I think that's what continues with me taking over.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people don't know as well is he coached at Dartmouth. Is that right? He's the position itself was actually named after him.
He did, yeah. Well, I was there in my second year. Someone endowed it, and one of his former players endowed it and wanted to name it in his honor. So that was pretty cool for me too, since I played for him as well, though it was at a different school. So yeah, I was officially the Bobby Clark coach of men's soccer at Dartmouth. So that was a pretty cool thing.
That's really cool. That is really cool. And I would imagine, coming from Dartmouth and knowing Notre Dame like you do, I would imagine recruiting is not much of an issue. I mean, I think you're recruiting the same type of kid that's going to go to Dartmouth that is going to go to Notre Dame. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the difference, Notre Dame is maybe one of a very small group where I feel like you really can do academics and athletics at the highest level. I think the Ivy League, we did a great job, and at Dartmouth, I think they supported us well, but I think, the resources just aren't quite there without the kind of big-time football and the bigger conferences. So you do a good job, but I think, while it is similar, I think it's maybe guys just we can get a few that are just a notch above, because the ACC is by far the best men's soccer conference in the country, and so you're able to get a wonderful degree and challenge yourself academically, but then also athletically, it's a great place to compete. And then if you have the dream of playing afterwards, there's really no better place than Notre Dame to do that.
Oh, definitely. And we sent you some of the questions and some of the things we'd ask you before the show, but you guys packed out the stadium with over 3,000 people for a spring soccer game against the Mexican U20 team. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about spring soccer.
Wonderful. Yeah, so the spring was good. I mean, I got out here in January, so I have about 6 weeks before you get going. But we had a good spring schedule. I think some of the things are similar. I've been gone for a while and kind of developed maybe a little bit of tweaks here and there on the way the guys had played before, and so it was really good. We had a great kind of strong finish to the spring and beat Indiana 3-0 the second to last weekend, and then we drew with the Mexican U20 national team, like I said, in front of a great crowd, over 3,000 people, in a really good match, and so that was a really good cap, and I think it sends us off into this summertime, which becomes a very key time, right? Because our preseason isn't that long. So I think the guys are confident but hungry, and know they've got to continue the hard work over the summer. So hopefully we can build on a solid spring into the fall.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys, very successful program under Coach Clark, and national title in 2013, and then you were at Dartmouth by then, right? You were at Dartmouth by 2012, correct?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, so you guys are replacing a good player in John Gallagher there. How do you replace a guy like that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of look at it both ways. I think when you lose someone that scored so many goals, it obviously makes you nervous, because there's it's kind of like losing a quarterback in the key defensive position, because we lose some of the spine of our team. So the two strikers who were actually Jeff Farina scored quite a few goals this year as well. But I think with John, one of the negatives when you have such a standout player is sometimes everybody can kind of rely on him and lose the initiative a little bit individually. Whereas now I think that's been the challenge when you lose your main goal scorer. Is in some ways, if you handle it right and guys step up, you can actually score more goals as a team. And so I think that's the way we've approached it, saying, yeah, you're never going to replace someone, but now can more people step up, and can we be a little bit more multifaceted in our attack and have more people scoring, but maybe not get one person with the big numbers, but a handful of guys with 6-7 goals.
Mm-hmm. Now, you got anybody who comes to mind on the team that Irish fans should look out for this season?
Yeah, I think Blake Towns is a fifth-year senior. He'll be our attacking midfielder. I think he's due some goals. There's another senior who's been a little bit unlucky with injuries, and Ian Asheris, but he had a good spring. I think big things are coming from him, and another first-year kind of striker attacking player, Paul Rothrock, scored some goals in the spring. So I think, and then I think the last one, Thomas Yule, he's a dynamic player from Lexington, Kentucky, who also has been a little bit unlucky with injuries, but I think he's got that behind him, and I really think he can surprise a lot of people with goals this year. So I'm excited about the group.
Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like they definitely have the right guy for the job and the right guy to recruit the talent in there that needs to happen, because the ACC it is a monster. A question I kind of had is, was it pretty much an easy choice to come back to Notre Dame when the job came open?
It was, I told people you sort of don't, there's only one job at each school, so you never just count on that as a career path. But I think, the first thing that hit me when Bobby retired was I was just sad, because, one of the things when you have, and I think Notre Dame understands this, when you have coaches for quite a few years, it means you're always connected to the program. And so it was, I'd always had when I came back to South Bend, my coach was at school, and so it was always nice to see. But it did, it quickly, after I had a bit of success with our teams at Dartmouth, I think it started to become a reality. And, it really wasn't a difficult decision. And then especially, like you mentioned, Jack Swarbrick started, right as I was kind of leaving, but I was immensely impressed with, one, what he's done, just seeing it from afar, and then meeting him. I think he's a wonderful leader, and he's got a wonderful group of administrators working with him. And so, I think Notre Dame is one of the few athletic departments that run like it does. And then I think the school I obviously believe in. I think it's, for me, the best combination of everything in the country. So it was a very easy decision.
Yeah. And, did you feel like there's any kind of extra pressure coming your way, being that you are the you are a Notre Dame guy? There's no doubt about it. So you can laugh and play it off all you want to. There is no doubt about you are a Notre Dame guy. Like I already said, you're the player, captain, assistant coach, and now, the lead man of the soccer program. Do you feel any of that extra pressure? But I know how you coaches are. You guys embrace that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You guys definitely.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, that you have to remind yourself is, like, it's kind of like a family business when it's like this for me, right? I'm a professional, and I'm a coach, but then there is that extra passion where, and sort of pressure that I don't want to be second, right? We don't want this to be a good program. We want this to be the best program, because not only is it what I'm doing right now, but it's, like you said, it's my life, right? I think this is my program, my club, and so I do think it is something that, in some ways, maybe that extra bit of passion, I might have to make sure I'm patient at times, but at the same time, I think it'll, like you said, I'll channel it and make it a good thing, because I think it's when you get it right, it becomes very special to have a program that has someone running it from within it.
I mean, I definitely think that the program couldn't be put in any better hands after Coach Clark. Now, was Coach Clark the winningest coach at Notre Dame? Is that correct?
I believe he is. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the first coach played quite a few games back in the late '70s, early '80s, so he racked up some wins against. I don't know if they were all NCAA Division I opponents, but I think Coach Clark is the all-time winningest now, or certainly in the modern era. It's not close.
You have no idea how much better I feel knowing that you can't even confirm that because I couldn't find it. So I feel so much better now.
Well, they don't do media guides anymore, so you kind of have to look online. It could be hard sometimes.
Yeah, you got to hop in the Google machine a little bit. Coach, you spent a little time here in Ohio. You actually coached at Oberlin, correct?
I did, yeah. It was my first coaching job, so I loved it at that conference. It was a great experience for me. I really got the good coach there, Blake News, still there, does a great job, and that was where I got my coaching start.
Yeah, and actually, where we live here and where we record is we're probably 10 minutes from Denison, so I'm sure you know all about Denison.
Okay, very cool. Yeah,
yeah, we're right there next to Granville.
Yeah,
so yeah, we actually may have Coach
Yeah,
Russo.
good program.
Coach Russo was there at Denison. He's been there for like 22 years or something crazy. We may end up having him on here at some point, but I love the NCAC. That's a great conference for all sports for sure.
It is.
Now, did you play any other sports coming up at all? Anything other than soccer?
Not too much. A little bit of baseball, and then I wasn't that good at it. I liked playing tennis. I do wish I actually encourage people to, if you're a soccer player, to play basketball growing up. I think it's a good complementary sport. But now I started focusing on soccer pretty quickly, and kind of played tennis casually, but mainly soccer was all I really did.
So with that, did you play a lot of travel soccer or select soccer, and were you playing year round, or were you just playing during?
Yeah, so I grew up mainly in Houston, so it was a little bit easier. The weather was good, and you didn't have to travel too much, kind of out of the city. So most of it was year round. Kind of starting seventh grade, sixth, seventh grade.
Nice. So did you always want to be a coach, even when you were playing at Notre Dame? Were you always like, one day I want to be a coach, or did you have were you thinking more so like professionally, or like playing for the U.S. national team or something like that?
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted to play for as long as I could. I think when I did play for Bobby and kind of saw, like, I'd always known I loved the game and wanted to stay involved. None of my players were alive anymore, but the '94 World Cup was so pivotal for me that we hosted it, and I had a big box full of VHS tapes that I recorded every game, and that's really when I got the bug very, very deeply. And then when I came here, I got drafted into the A-League, which was the second division at the time, and that team folded. Had some trials with MLS, but it was back when there was only like 10 teams in MLS. It was a pretty tough breakthrough. I went to Germany for a little bit and got offered a contract, basically a pay for your food every time you play a game kind of deal in like the fourth division, and just couldn't find something. And then the athletic director, another Dartmouth connection, there's a guy Vin Lanana took over Oberlin, and they were creating these assistant coaches positions, and so he called Bobby, and I was basically looking for a job, and so Bobby got me in touch with Blake at Oberlin, and then that's how I got into the game. But I did, weirdly from pretty early age, knew I wanted to coach because I love this. I love the fact that no matter if you become a pro or an All-American or win the Herman Trophy, all our guys are graduating with a Notre Dame degree, and I love being a part of that process and these young guys' lives.
Now, did you find being a midfielder when you were playing, and now being a coach, did you find while you were on the pitch, you'd look at guys and you'd coach them during the game or during practice?
Yeah, more when you're an assistant. I think something, this is my fifth or sixth season as a head coach. I think sometimes the head coach is trying to find that balance of when do you kind of insert something very specific, and then when are you coaching the big picture stuff. But certainly, I think when you first get into coaching, you lean a lot on your experience as a player. So I think a lot of the kind of midfield positions where you feel like I could give a lot of that kind of detailed information. And then, I think so I've been coaching since 2004, and then after a while you get pretty comfortable. I don't trust myself completely with the goalkeepers, but I certainly coach center backs more now than I did when I first started as an assistant. I didn't really have the details of the center back position down.
Yeah, I could definitely see that with the keepers, where you just kind of look at them and you're like, hey, just don't let the ball go in the back of the net.
Exactly.
It's kind of like when you
they're hardly soccer players.
Yeah, right.
when you hear like watch a fight or something, and it's like, yeah, just don't get hit and hit the other guy. Good, perfect. To stop the ball.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't let it go back there. So it kind of leads us into another question here. What's your coaching style then? Are you're more of an attacking coach or a defensive kind of coach, or let the Irish fans kind of know here?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think I tried to look at it as like we're funny, and we'll talk a little bit about the World Cup. So, the NCAA soccer is we're part tournament, right? Everybody wants to win the NCAA tournament, and then we're part league. And I think soccer is a funny game because I think you have to. The balance ends up being the key, but I think what we kind of say we want to be energetic, purposeful, and kind of play with passion. So how does that come out? And I think the start of every season you've got to be tough to beat, right? If you're weak in goals and you're poor defensively, it's going to be hard to rely on scoring 4 or 5 goals a game. So that's the first piece. And once you get good at that, in soccer, one of the moments, I think Liverpool's, I don't know if you watch any of the European, I think Liverpool and actually the Red Bull in the U.S. Have done a good job of just transitioning to the attack quickly. So how quickly can you get the goal once you win the ball? And then if that doesn't happen, then you obviously kind of set up and are purposeful. But I think that idea of we just want to be very purposeful in our play. We want to be energetic. You've got young 18 to 22-year-olds, so they should be ready to run. And I think our team should always display skill and passion. And I think those are the big keys. But it's always about finding that balance between defense and attack. But the first thing is you can't have a leaky defense if you want to win an NCAA championship.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely wrong division for that, or wrong conference for that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely not in the ACC. When will the schedule get released, Coach? I was kind of looking around. I didn't see the 2018 schedule.
Pretty soon. So it's actually just going through like the approval process from we just getting through all the class. We always do our schedule to miss as few classes as possible. So it should be. I would think, it could be as early as next week, if not the week after. I think it's all done now. It's just kind of going through the channels.
Yeah, we talked about kind of the ACC being a beast, but anybody out of the conference on the schedule that saw big opponents on the schedule at all?
Yeah, I mean, we always play Indiana, so that's always a big game. They obviously got to the national final this year, and I think they'll be another good team. We actually opened. We'll have played one game, but we played Dartmouth. I had scheduled us to play in Indiana's tournament, so we'll play Dartmouth, which will be unique and interesting for me. Play UConn and then Michigan State. We always play a very tough out of conference schedule. A lot of the Big Ten opponents. So we haven't got Ohio State on the schedule next year. I'm sure we will at some point in the near future. But yeah, I think Indiana is always the big out of conference kind of marquee matchup.
Yeah, definitely. They were ranked number 1 last year, correct, for a lot of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they were unlucky not to win a national championship, to be honest, but they were a tremendous team last year.
Yeah, it always surprises me. I'm glad that they do, and I know that the basketball team plays. It's always shocked me that like the football team never. I mean, I think we played Indiana like 2 or 3 times ever. It always just kind of shocks me. I mean, it's a Power 5 school. That go down the road and play. We've always played Purdue up until as of late, but So very cool.
Well, that is interesting.
How are you? How do you feel about coaching against your former team? I didn't know you were going to play Dartmouth.
Yeah, it'll
this
be
year.
Weird. Yeah, it'll be weird. It's a new one for me. I haven't done that. So I think once the game gets going, you sort of, it's one of the things that I think you quickly learn as a coach is that once the game gets going, it doesn't matter if it's your best friend coaching against you or former players. You're in competitor mode and you just want to win that game. So I think in some ways it'll be special, and I'm sure it'll be a good strong game. But I'll definitely want to win.
Yeah. Now, are you gonna use your knowledge about the players from Dartmouth to your advantage? I'm assuming that's pretty dumb question. That you're a coach, you want to win, you're not coaching there.
That's a good question. But I think, and nowadays, to be honest with you, there's so much video out there that you know almost every team as well as you can. And I think that the challenge when when you know a team as intimately as I do with Dartmouth, you don't want to inundate the guys with information. So it's trying to sift through it and make sure you're giving them the right amount of information, not too much information overload for the players.
Yeah. So, Coach, we'll get into some kind of World Cup type stuff here. Big elephant in the room, we might as well get to it, is what's your thoughts on what's going on with the U.S. As far as the national team goes?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that, if you take a very big picture at it, you're like, okay, obviously it's always bad when you don't qualify, but I think it was one of those things where, sometimes we get patting ourselves on the back too much, and I think we've made a lot of progress in our play, but I think we also just got very comfortable qualifying and maybe didn't keep progressing at the same rate that we should. I think we got comfortable, and then with that said, I think our region just continued to get better. I think that it used to maybe be a more guaranteed qualifying through CONCACAF, but I think each team has gotten a little bit better. But I think now that it's happened, like you said, it's the elephant. It's just, okay, let's embrace it. It's happened, and we're not playing in the World Cup. What can we learn from there? From why this happened? 'Cause I was actually as I told you, I was traveling internationally, and they had the Premier League Legends or something on Netflix, and it was interesting. So that '94 World Cup that I talked about, France didn't qualify for the '94 World Cup and then won the '98 World Cup. Now, I'm not saying we'll do that, but at the same time, you see that the margins are pretty thin, right? And so now, can this be something where we kind of use it to step our game up, or is it something that's are we gonna be disorganized and kind of have little factions all over the country? And I think hopefully the challenge of it brings us together and brings some improvement.
All I heard is Coach Riley thinks that the U.S. is going to win the World Cup in 2022. Is that what you heard?
That's all I heard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I heard.
Christian Pulisic, he'll be 25 or so.
Yeah.
24, he'll be the best player in the world.
Well, that's what I was going to lead into was Pulisic is, it's unfortunate, really, more than anything, that the world isn't going to get to see him on Showcase this summer.
Yeah.
He's a heck of a player.
He is, I think, and even for him, you never know why these things happen, but maybe his hunger will be not that he's not hungry, but I think now he'll certainly be one determined person to make sure the U.S. plays in the next World Cup.
Yeah, very much so. And what do you, I don't know how much you can speak to it or how bluntly you want to talk about it, but Jurgen Klinsmann, do you think that was the right decision to let him go?
It's hard to know the exact details of it. I didn't, obviously he's a great coach, and I never try to criticize other coaches, but, I didn't think we had an identity necessarily with him. I think he progressed us in a lot of ways, but I think, in a lot of ways, for some reason, we just didn't continue to grow. And I don't know, it's never one person's fault. So, it's hard to know, because I do think continuity sometimes can be better in national teams because you can grow, but clearly it just got to a point where for some reason they made that decision, and so it's one of those things. It's hard to look into silver or crystal ball to know, but it is an interesting one. We didn't seem to kind of improve from the 2014 World Cup, so I guess that's why they judged them.
Would that ever be on your radar to get to that level as a coach, or do you think you've kind of found where you want to be?
It's an interesting question. Yeah, I think it's something you always dream about. I think one of the things that you love about the college game is it's a really pure form of being a team, especially in kind of where Division I soccer is. Nobody's making millions or signing huge endorsement deals as young guys. They're not doing it for that reason. You can make a good living in MLS, but you're not a first-round draft pick and signing a $10 million contract as a basketball player. So I think it's a really pure, and the longer I've been in the game, I just love that piece of it. And I do think, you dream about things. I kind of think the Olympic team and the national team still has that ability to create that real team sense, that real kind of, that the team is bigger than the individuals, where I think that can be hard in just professional sports. I think that would be, one of the long-term dreams would be, to coach a national team, to coach at an Olympics would certainly be hard not to dream about that.
Well, you're well on your way, my friend. I mean, you've been successful, as a player. You've been successful as an assistant, and clearly, at a school like Dartmouth. I know Coach Clark was there, but you carried the torch, and the program didn't drop. The stock of that program didn't drop by any stretch. You definitely elevated them. So
No.
You do the same thing at Notre Dame. I mean, you're definitely well on your way. Do you think that the U.S. Do you think our interest overall as a country? Do you think we're going to be kind of lack the interest there for this World Cup, being that we're out of it?
Yeah, I've kind of reflected on it myself just a little bit. Granted, I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, so sometimes you get distracted. But it is a weird feeling because, like we talked about, since I was how old, the last time we didn't make the World Cup, I think I was 5, right? So you sort of got used to the team and being on TV. So I don't think it's going to. Some people in Clemson did say it the other day, going to set us back. I don't see us setting us back. I think we're over that tipping point now. Soccer's a mainstream thing. I mean, Columbus, you guys are having some a little bit, but that's a great team. I mean, there's just teams that have been around for 25 years now, and we've got players playing abroad and doing really well. So I think I think it will be weird not to, but I don't think it'll certainly set us back at all. I think it'll create an opportunity to be even more committed.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to light a fire. I mean, it has to.
Sure.
It's not, call a spade a spade. It's not the NFL. It's not the MLB or the NBA. But, I was, listen, I do this podcast. I don't have any radio experience, anything. I just decided, one day, a year and a half ago, I was just going to do this. So I study different shows. And I was really surprised at the national narrative of how embarrassed we were as a country. I mean, if I can get away with that term, everybody was really up in arms where, maybe 20-ish years ago, it would have been like, we didn't make the World Cup, whatever. Okay.
We were playing soccer?
Right. Yeah, we were playing.
You're right. It shows where we grew. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you're hearing, Clay Travis or, Colin Cowherd or anybody talking about that kind of thing, about the disappointment of not making it, I mean, that in and of itself, I think, says that how much growth we've had in this country with soccer. Mm-hmm. We definitely. You mentioned the MLS, and we definitely we've definitely got a thing going on right now with them trying to move the team out of here. The Crew. I mean, we're one of the oldest franchises in the league, so it's very unfortunate that this is happening. So, yeah, definitely sucks there. But we got the hashtag Save the Crew thing going on, and there's definitely some strong. There's some strong backers here in Columbus, so hopefully we'll be able to keep the team. Now, staying with
I hope so too.
Sticking with the World Cup, do you have a favorite in your mind to win the World Cup this year?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. I mean, I think if I had to go with what's the storybook, you just feel like Argentina's due. It's just hard to believe that Messi will play his career without winning a World Cup. So if I had to, I know it's in Europe, and so South American teams typically don't win on European soil, but that's the pick I'm going to go with. I think he's going to light the world on fire this summer. He can kind of transfer his club form to the national team.
Now, my question for that is Messi is 31 or 30, going on 31. So
yeah, right around there.
Yeah, this could be his last World Cup. Do you think if they make it to the final and then they don't win, that he comes back for another World Cup?
No, it's interesting. He takes care of his body. He does all those things, and those guys, they can play for a while. But yeah, that is a good question. Yeah, who knows? It would be probably hard to get that close, and then do you just step away or do you try again? So I'm sure a lot of it will depend on how healthy he stays.
Yeah, you picked Argentina to a co-host over here who is a diehard, probably knows like what the bushes outside of Ronaldo's house looks like. So, so you definitely a Messi guy then over Ronaldo, or you just a kind of a?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about that too. I think my favorite player in the world right now is Kevin De Bruyne for Manchester City. I think he's a fun one. But yeah, I think there was always a good argument that Ronaldo's managed to do it with whatever team he's played with as far as being dominant and scoring goals, whereas Messi's, essentially done it for one team. So I think that is one of the things, but it's hard as a soccer person not to just love to watch watch Messi play, and just his skill and his ability is just, it's unique to say the least.
Now, I need to correct something. I love Ronaldo. I like him a lot more than Messi, but my favorite player is Isco for Real Madrid. I was a huge Iniesta.
He's very good.
Yeah, I was a huge Iniesta fan. I'm a huge Real Madrid fan.
Yeah.
So this is the only time I'm going to say that I loved watching Iniesta play, considering he played for Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a Neymar guy, so I'm just the odd guy out.
Okay,
Yeah, I like Neymar, and I like
okay.
Thomas Müller for Bayern Munich, but I've been told that Bundesliga is trash.
Yep,
so
he's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, so get you a couple more questions, Coach. We know your time is valuable here, and I understand getting the move going and with the kids. I actually have a 6-month-old, so it's a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're not sleeping,
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. So a couple more here. Favorite memory as a player at Notre Dame?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it would have to be we won the Big East tournament my senior year, and I thought that was just kind of the first big trophy that Notre Dame had won for a long time, and kind of during Coach Clark's early part of his career. So I think that was a really special memory for me that does really stick out. I think there's a lot of little ones, but I think that's one of the ones that I remember feeling a good sense of satisfaction knowing that your hard work translated into a championship.
And how about as a coach? What sticks out in your mind as a coach? Favorite memory?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think there's a lot, and I was talking to someone the other day. I think it was the first Ivy League championship at Dartmouth, so in 2014, where it was kind of my first big championship as a coach, and that just it was a special group of guys that's certainly one that's high up there right now. Nice.
And one more, Coach, we'll get you out of here. And this is one I've been dying to ask. And when I came up with the question, I didn't prep you for this. It's nothing too groundbreaking, but the Notre Dame Club of Columbus was pretty supportive, and my own mother even wants to kind of hear this one. So, you're one of the faces of Notre Dame now. Honestly, I mean, as an assistant, you're kind of, definitely, obviously a Notre Dame guy. You played there, the whole bit. But now you're up there. You're up there with Coach McGraw. You're up there with Coach Bray, Coach Kelly, all the recognizable faces of Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about what that's like. What that feels like for you just to be out in front of all that. And do you have any interactions or stories you can share about interactions with Coach Kelly or like Coach Bray or anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's one of the unique things at Notre Dame. There's a lot of respect for the coach, and I think that obviously was born in the tradition of football. But I think that is one of the neat things. And you are a coach, but you're a leader, and those things. So it's a pretty special thing. And I think the nice part is you listed off that group as one of the things you learn as a head coach is that you're just a continuous learner, right? So I think being surrounded by so many great coaches. It's you just keep getting better. I think that was one of the exciting parts about coming to Notre Dame is it's just there's just so many great coaches surrounding you that you can't help but improve. But yeah, so with the football coaches, they're in kind of a different building, so you don't get to see them a ton, but certainly interact a little bit. But actually, Coach Bray and the basketball coaches were all in the same kind of little coaches locker room, and they're just a great group of kind of down to earth guys. And every time you get a chance to speak with any of their coaches and Coach Bray, that there's always a little bit of wisdom you get from that. But I really do think all those people you listed, and really every coach, they just love Notre Dame, and I think that passion is so important to have, and it's what makes our school and our department just so special, as everybody really has a passion and a love for the school, and it's fun to be a part of that.
So Coach Bray's taught you how to coach on the sideline with a lay on and shorts and a Bahamas t-shirt then, right?
Yeah, or the mock turtleneck.
Yep. Yeah, you need you a mock turtleneck too. So very cool,
Yeah,
Coach.
exactly.
Well, I appreciate you coming in with us, man. It's awesome to have you in. It's a groundbreaking show for
Thanks
us.
for having me.
I hope we can maybe we'll have you on again if you're not super busy, closer to the soccer season. Talk about some things. I'll actually be on campus for the Vanderbilt game, so if you guys have a home game, I will definitely hit that up. Would love to meet you and your family as well. So maybe we can maybe arrange something. But yeah, Coach, we appreciate your time. Again, hopefully we'll have you on again soon. Do you have anything else you want to throw out to the Club of Columbus here, or any Irish fans?
No, it'd be great. Keep it Save Columbus, right?
That's right.
Save the crew.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You have a good evening, sir, and we'll talk again soon, man.
You too.
See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we just wrapped up our interview with Coach Riley. It's pretty awesome stuff. For me and Will, this is definitely the biggest show we've done. I thought it was pretty cool to get his perspective. Yeah. That was really awesome. I think the program, soccer program, I'm definitely interested now. More so, I mean, I've watched Notre Dame soccer. I've explained on this show before that I got to hone back in. I still have a show. We still got another half a show to do.
Yeah, right.
Right now,
yeah.
It's not time to go to bed. We're still recording.
Yeah, he just kept talking, and I'm just sitting on the edge of my seat, like, yeah. Like he's pulling me in. So he was good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. That's good stuff. So we gotta kind of pull ourselves back down here. But I've talked about on the show before how I'm a fan of all things Notre Dame. I followed the 2013 national championship run, and I'll be honest, with the soccer team and stuff, I follow how things are going. If they're on ESPN or whatever, I tune in. But I'll tell you, if you listen to that interview, I think that you're going to be interested in how the program's going to be going forward. And, I think this is a guy to root for, clearly a Notre Dame guy. So that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we had him in, and maybe we'll have him in again before soccer season starts, and we'll have him do something other than soccer, because he seems like a pretty cool guy. I think we can do some fun stuff with Coach Riley.
Yeah,
for sure.
You think I'm going to let a soccer coach come in here and I'm not going to talk about soccer?
Right.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
This soccer guy here. So we'll get back to being a little more of a podcast now and talk some garbage about some World Cup stuff, and I'll try to act like I know more than this one when I do not. So man, tell me, Will, let's interview you. What are you feeling about this World Cup this year?
It's going to be just like every other World Cup. The group stages are going to be interesting. You're going to have a couple headlines. Oh, this team's about to upset this team. But overall, I think out of all the group stages, the chalk is going to pull through. Mm-hmm. And, the same names that are almost always there are going to be the ones that are there. 16 teams go through from the 32 from the group stages. Side note on that, in 2026, it's expanding to 48 teams.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to need a little more paper. So
yeah, right.
So are you saying the U.S. has a chance at getting in?
You know what? I'm gonna side with Coach Riley, and they're winning the next World Cup.
That was pretty funny. I like that. I was like, I knew it was on the tip of my tongue. I'm like,
he said it, and that's all. I was like, okay. Yeah. I just want to say that. Yeah, you said they're gonna win.
Well, and then he was sucking me in. I was like, I'm gonna write this down because I'm gonna forget. I'm about to forget. Like, he was a great interview. I hope everybody definitely enjoyed that. But we'll start here in Group A. We said we were gonna break down the World Cup a little bit, and we got Uruguay, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. I'm guilty of I called this group the MAC. Will, tell me why this is not the MAC of the World Cup.
Okay, so you got Uruguay that has Luis Suarez, who plays for Barcelona.
And I never admit that I'm wrong, and I was wrong. So
yeah, I have the text message. I can show you guys later on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Uruguay, I think it was like 2010, they were in the Final Four. They were literally like a goal away from going to the championship. They lost to, I believe, the Netherlands in that one. But
which surprisingly is not in this tournament. I was shocked they didn't make it.
Yeah, they play total football is what it's called. It's the beautiful game. But I don't want to get sidetracked with that.
How many times are you going to say set piece during this so I can prepare myself?
Probably never.
Okay, good.
But I will refer to it as a pitch.
I like that. No, that was good. I think that won the interview, by the way.
Yeah, and I don't call like my soccer boots. I don't call them cleats. I call them boots.
I like it.
So, and I got one buddy who when I talk to, we always call him. He, when I say boots, he says boots too. But anyways,
you guys are Boots brothers.
Yeah, we're Boots brothers. So they've got some big time guys. You know, they got Luis Suarez, who he is arguably a top 5 striker in all of soccer. You might even be able to say top 3. And then they've got Cavani, who plays for PSG, who was the man before Mbappe and Neymar came. And he has changed his game enough to where he is still relevant, and he's arguably still a top 10 player at that forward position. And then, of course, you got Diego Godin, who is one of the hardest defenders to beat in all of soccer. So they've got a really strong team.
Nice.
And then you know you're talking about Egypt. They got Mohamed Salah,
which I am psyched to watch.
Yeah, he came into the Premiership with into the EPL with Chelsea, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's from Egypt. He can't play all this stuff." And then he moves over to Liverpool, and this year he just broke the record for the most goals in the EPL in a season with 38. So, you know, and you're talking some of the biggest names played in the EPL, and his name is now above all of them, at least for one season.
Well, I was reading up that this guy scored 33 goals in 57 international matches. Now, granted, Egypt doesn't play the top level, but I mean, 33 goals in 57 matches, that's top notch.
Yeah.
100% top notch.
You don't score that many goals being average.
Yeah, definitely. The rest of this group does look pretty bad, though.
I'm not even going to start because they are the 2 lowest ranked teams in this whole tournament.
Yeah, I mean, how did Saudi Arabia even get in? How do they qualify through? They're part of which group do they qualify through? We're CONCACAF.
I don't know.
I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
So every region has a group.
Yeah.
And every region gets a group to get in. And I'm not sure. They might be part of the African Federation Cup. I can't remember exactly which one they are, but I'm not surprised to see them and Iran that are in.
Yeah, Iran, they kind of get in quite a bit. They just never really have done much.
Yeah, they're in. They're like, oh, Germany's playing Iran. Oh, okay, that's 3 points for Germany.
Right, that's 21-0.
Yeah, 21.
We're gonna throw a football score on them.
Yeah, right. So, you know, they get in these games, and you know, it's great for them and great for those countries. You know, they get to show their name and show what they can do, and maybe get bought by another major club and make some more money to help set up their family, help their country a little bit. But I'm sorry, guys. Like
they're actually Asia. They're AFC.
Asia, okay.
Asia Football Confederation. Yeah, we took our geography classes in school.
Yeah.
Got a marketing major and a nurse over here. So.
Yeah.
So who's your picks to win this group then?
So I got Uruguay finishing first and Egypt finishing second.
See, we agree. Okay.
Yeah,
and we agree Russia's last, right?
And Russia has never advanced from the group stage.
Which is crazy to me.
Every single World Cup they've been in.
That's crazy to me. I mean, as much as they care about their sports and stuff over there, I mean, and Putin's pretty hands-on with the sports over there.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
Is that the problem?
Yeah, the government, of course. Okay. Anyways,
yeah,
the government needs to just.
So let me go with this: Jerry Jones.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing.
Same thing,
dude. You're running a country.
Yeah.
What? Like, I don't
get your hands out of do Sambo,
bro. Yeah, do Sambo.
Do Sambo.
Worry about not dropping nukes on the U.S.
Yeah.
Forget about soccer. Just watch it, enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's it. Ride your bear.
Yeah. Ride your bear. Yeah, do that. No. I've said it before on this show. Like Jerry Jones should just go ahead and coach the Cowboys and get it over with.
Yep.
And Putin sounds like should probably, from everything I've ever read, could do the same thing. Realize you're bad. And then let this program move on.
Yep.
So, Group B, I'm going to let you take Group B because it's got your boy in there. Are you pulling for Portugal then to win this?
No. I'm Spain.
So you're Spanish?
Yeah, Spain is part of my family is from
I
from
knew
Spain
that. Yeah,
back in the day.
I didn't know. I didn't know you were going that route.
Yeah.
I was immediate because that's what I put in our notes here is I put have at it because...
Yeah, you just put it under Portugal instead of Spain.
Well, I put it under Portugal because your man love for Ronaldo.
Yeah. Okay, so I do like Ronaldo, but as I alluded to earlier,
I didn't know that. See, I learned something. That's why it's better not to interview your co-host.
Listen, I have to keep that a secret because I'm a Real Madrid fan.
Yeah.
And Iniesta played his entire career with Barcelona, and like if I was in Spain, if I was in Madrid right now, I'd probably get lynched.
Yeah.
So
pretty much. So you're saying that Tim Biakabatuka was your favorite player ever?
Absolutely not.
Is that what I'm getting? Like, I'm a Ohio State fan, but my favorite player is Chad Henne of all time.
Yeah, it would be like if I said, yeah, I'm an Ohio State fan, but Charles Woodson was one of my favorite players.
On our side, it'd be like if I said Reggie Bush was my favorite player.
Yeah.
Does Morocco or Iran stand a chance to either one?
No. I mean, they should just come out and just be happy that they're here because
16 seed March Madness style.
Yeah, right.
Happy you're there.
You know, I mean, maybe they pull an upset.
I could see a draw. Morocco, Portugal draw.
I could see a draw with Portugal
because Portugal plays down. So I mean, they drew they drew with Iceland. They're in the Euros. So I could see. I mean, they drew with the U.S. back in 2014.
Yeah.
But we had a good team that year. I thought.
We had a good team, and I believe that. Well, yeah.
It was a solid team. That team, I think, underachieved. Like most of our.
They did. They were strong defensively, and they were used to drawing, playing 0-0, 1-1. We're not going to score goals, but we're not going to give up goals. I mean, you had Tim Howard, who arguably could have been the best goalie of the year that World Cup, and when they played Belgium, he set the record for the most saves in a World Cup game. I mean, he was saving everything like.
And that dude was yoked.
Jesus came down on the pitch and launched a 80-yard curler that he jumped into the upper 90 and stopped it and said, not today.
Not today, Junior. Yeah. Not today. No, and that dude was yoked too. Like, he was an athlete. You see some of these goalies, they're the skinny kid that doesn't really run around all that much, and they have some length. Usually, you don't see many 5'5" goalies.
Right.
And
fun fact about him is he's got Tourette's.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, and actually. I believe I was reading an interview, and I think he was saying how he used it to his advantage because he played. I think he played for Manchester United for about 2 seasons. They signed him, and he was talking about he interviewed when he was in Manchester. And the 2 things I remember from that interview was that he opened up the shades to his house on the window, and he was like, "Yeah, it's raining again," and he said he had Tourette's.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Huh. I had no idea. That's interesting. Definitely interesting. So we have Spain, Portugal. Who's winning that, do you think? Group B?
Spain's going to win that one.
They're stacked, man. I was looking.
They are, but they're in a transition stage right now. They've got some of the greatest players ever, and when you look at their roster from top to bottom, you're talking about guys who are playing on the best teams in the world, and they're starting. The downside is that they don't have a legitimate striker. They have really good strikers, but they don't have that striker to put him over the top. And all their great players are, in their early 30s. And, soccer is a lot like football. You get to that age, and you just don't fire as fast as the younger guys. So, but they do have two young guys, Isco, who's 25, and Asensio, who's 21, I think. They both play for Madrid, and I watch these guys play all the time. Whenever I pop FIFA in my PlayStation, I'm always like, hey, I got to play with these guys. But you look for them this World Cup to put their stamp on this World Cup and show how great they really are.
So move on to Group C here. Who you got in Group C?
Man, France is going to win this
one. I think France is going to win easy. I mean, I'm definitely...
They're not going to win easy, and for one reason and one reason only.
Okay.
They have so many off-the-field issues. You look at this France squad, and they should be competing to win the World Cup every year. They have got some great players, some of the best players. Paul Pogba, he's like 6'95" feet tall, fast.
Oh, and he's a monster.
He's just a monster, can dominate a game. But for whatever reason, they just can't put it together.
Yeah.
It's like watching Kentucky in college basketball. They get the top 5 recruits for basketball, trout them out on the floor. They blow people out all the time, and then when they get to the Final Four or when they get into March Madness,
it's just kind of
yeah,
it's over.
They just
I do think they're going to benefit from this group, though. I mean, is it Paulo Guerrero? He's out for Peru, suspended, and then from everything I'm seeing, this Jefferson Farfan, it will be the guy to take them to lead Peru. I have Peru finishing second.
I don't know, Australia. To all our listeners in Australia, we see you.
Yeah, we see you.
Aussie.
Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're always a tough out.
Yeah.
So I could easily see France winning this one, and then any one of these three teams getting that second place and going through.
Yeah, I mean, and Denmark, it's interesting. They're kind of let's not get into the SEC Big Ten stuff, but let's call SEC 10 years ago. Unfortunately, I think Denmark's had some solid teams over the years, but they're sitting in Europe, and Europe's a beast. Mm-hmm. I mean, I found out at doing some work. I watch the World Cup every year. I love international soccer. The Euros is one of my favorite things to watch. In fact, I almost like watching the Euros nearly as much as the World Cup sometimes. But it's just a beast. But I didn't know that Europe and South America were the only two continents to ever win the World Cup. So I found that to kind of be interesting.
Yeah, and I want to say it was up until I think it was 2014. It was like a European team had never won outside of Europe, and a South American team had never won outside of South America or in the Southern Hemisphere. I don't remember exactly what it was, but that's crazy. Another little tidbit, a fun fact is a team has never won the World Cup with a coach who wasn't from the same country. So every World Cup team that has won, the coach has been from that same country.
So Jurgen didn't stand a chance.
No, he didn't. No. He didn't.
Not only because he coached the U.S., but because he's from Germany.
Because he's from Germany, yeah.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know that either until this week when I was doing a little bit of reading.
You prep for this show for 3 years, so
3 years.
All your life's training has prepared you for this moment.
Yeah, it's been about 21 years.
So who do you have winning C? Still France.
France.
And then who you got second? Then
man, I'm pulling Australia.
Aussie. Let's do it. I'll make a note here because I got Peru still winning it. I'm falling in love with the conference per se. The South American teams, man, strong teams. Not as strong as Europe, but
I would definitely say that out of all the conferences or all the groups, that's in my opinion, that's the weakest group.
Probably because France plays below their level. Would you agree? I mean,
yeah, I would definitely say
if they played like Spain,
Yeah. So what's going to happen is France is going to play Peru, and they're going to win like 7-0. And then they're going to play against Denmark, and they're going to lose 2-1.
Yeah, and just screw the whole atmosphere up.
Yeah, and then they're going to play Australia and like draw 2-2, and everybody's going to be like, what's going on?
Right. It's like blowing out, like, I don't know, blow out Alabama, but then you go the next week and like play Illinois close or some craziness.
Yeah.
So Group D, this is where we get into some more All-Stars, some more World Stars. Argentina is in there. We got Croatia. We got the Thunderclap known as Iceland. We got Nigeria. I thought this was a pretty tough group. You kind of disagreed.
So on paper, there's a lot of paper champions here.
Yeah.
You've got Argentina, who, with their collection of players, especially when you got Messi, like, man, this team should be dominating. There should be no reason why they don't easily breeze through this group.
Mm-hmm.
Croatia is kind of the wild card here. They've got two great players in their midfield who are a little bit older, but they never seem to play up to their level. They always play close games. They lose games they shouldn't have. And they'll win some games they shouldn't win, but they're not consistent. Mm-hmm. Plus, their best player, Luka Modric, he's going through some legal battles right now, and who knows where his head's at. He's amazing to watch. He's like 5'5". He's like 99 years old, but like has a motor for days, and you just never like he's got the ball, and you're like, oh, this dude's gonna come take it, and then he's gone.
Right,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Argentina wins it. The other three, I think, is a total crapshoot to pick. I mean, I'm not much of a gambling person anymore. Maybe another podcast we'll talk about some gambling stories from the past. But I would not touch Croatia, Iceland, Croatia, Nigeria, Nigeria, Iceland.
Nope.
not a chance would I touch those matches with money.
So
more than $1.
Yeah, so what's probably going to happen with this group, Argentina is going to win all their games, and then these other three teams is going to come down to the last game.
It'd be like aggregate.
And then, well, not aggregate because they don't do aggregate.
My bad. No.
Goal differential.
Goal differential, yeah.
Yeah, it'll come down to who loses by how many goals to Argentina, and can Iceland beat Nigeria 3-1 or whatever, something like that.
For everything I've read, that's a damn good team, Nigeria. It's they might as well just not even play a goalie, from what I've read.
Yeah.
So I mean, and some of these African teams, I mean, Ivory Coast comes to mind, Nigeria comes to mind, Ghana, solid teams. Not enough to win, not enough to win the whole thing. But I mean, would it shock you if Nigeria made it to the last 8? Depending upon the matchups.
Maybe if it was Nigeria, yeah, but if it was a team like Ghana, no. In 2010, Ghana had like an amazing team. They had a lot of young guys who were just hitting the stride at the right time.
Right.
Nigeria is a really good team that they're consistent, but like I wouldn't be surprised if they made it out of the group stage. But if they won their first game in the first round, I'd be surprised. I'd be like, oh man, that was
kind of shocking.
Yeah.
So who are you taking as number 2? Argentina. We both completely agree. Number 1 winning that one.
I'm gonna have to go with Croatia, and that's what
I picked as well.
That's why they won't do it. It'll probably be
because
Iceland,
you picked it,
but because I just said Croatia is not consistent, and then
I'm pulling for Iceland. Iceland reminds me of me and you.
Oh, funny thing here, Iceland's goalkeeper is like the number 1 filmmaker in Iceland.
See, what I'm saying.
He's like the Steven Spielberg of Iceland for film.
That's what I'm saying. Me and you are these lifetime athletes. We're basically we're has-beens, but we're kind of never wases too.
Yeah,
all rolled into one.
I don't even know if I go as far as say I was a has-been. I was a never was who thinks he was.
Oh, you were right on Messi's heels. You just decided soccer wasn't for you. What are you about?
I just decided. I'll let him have the limelight.
Yeah, you know what? You take it. You take it. But I mean, essentially that's why I like Iceland. And I know I'm waiting for the you would. Yeah, I mean, they're just like us. We're kind of lifetime athletes. We still do jiu-jitsu, and Will over here, he does all the sports. Like, pick something, he's going to try to get hurt at it.
Yeah, I got a soccer game in 12 hours.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah. But all these guys have full-time jobs. I don't think any of them play at a high enough level. Off the top of your head, anybody that comes to mind? I think
maybe 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think they pretty much work full-time jobs.
And I think their coach is like a dentist or something like that. So I'm definitely pulling for them. It was cool, beyond cool, to watch them in the Euros, to make the run that they did. And Marty Smith going over there, and ESPN had to ruin it for everybody because they had to go over there and act like that was like the Alabama or whatever of soccer, and it's like,